Turn your box of extra table legs and parts into something gorgeous. I'm using contact cement to attach all my pieces together. I want to paint the pieces all white. I want to distress them.
I took my window pane and made sure to clean it and dry it very well. After that, I removed the hardware. I then used a product called Looking Glass. I actually decided to spray the back of the window pane. I purchased some D-rings from the hardware store.
Pick up a thrift store frame and remove the backing. Find a white mat that will fit the frame size. Hang the frame and mat on a wall. Find a small glass jar or vase. Take 2 command strips and stick the jar to the wall. You now have a 3D interactive wall art piece.
I've gone ahead and given them a good cleaning. I've chosen this nice black chalk paint. Before the second coat of black paint dries though, I want to add some dark gray to the top of each vase. And then I'm using a cloth to blend it into the black. I've collected a few pieces of old lace and I'm going to use it to get a cool effect over the paint. I'm going to use some black wax and just rub it all over the painted surfaces. Saw some candles from Pottery Barn. I thought it'd be fun to try making them myself. I'm going to put a little glue into a small container and then add a bit of paint. Now that I have the glue tinted, I'm going to paint it all over the glass dish on the outside. I'm going to leave these for a few hours before moving on. Using some Mod Podge, I'm going to paint it around the dishes. I can sprinkle the white glitter all over it, and then when it dries, the glitter will stay in place. I grabbed these pillar candles from the dollar store and I'm going to melt them down. I'm just going to use a couple of skewers to hold the wicks in place. I want to add some essential oil to give my candles a beautiful scent. It's time to fill the glass dishes. The final thing to do is to remove the skewers and then trim the wicks.
First, we're going to spray paint. I'm using Rust-Oleum Satin Heirloom White and Rust-Oleum Stone. We're going to take some painter's tape. You kind of want to rough tear one edge of it. We're going to put this along the bottom. I'm using a craft paint and I'm just using brushed gold. You kind of want to make it look like the paint is kind of tearing and you can see underneath it.
Start to paint your pots and saucers with a matte finish paint or chalk paint. Take a paper napkin and separate the 2-ply layers. Draw a circle and cut it out with scissors. Take the saucer and brush the decoupage glue so the bottom and sides of the saucer are covered. Place the paper napkin circle and press down in the center and smooth the napkin out. Dip a small paintbrush in water and brush along the top of the saucer. Add a final layer of decoupage glue. Take a strong adhesive glue and place a ring of glue. Place the saucer on top of the bottom of the pot.
The first step is just to make sure this is really clean. To start with, I want to use some gold leaf adhesive. I am just going to let this sit for about 20 minutes. Now we're going to get out the gold leaf sheets. Now you want to use a tweezer and a dry paintbrush with this. As I'm going along, I'm going to use the paintbrush and it's going to pull away any of the excess. And then we're ready to move on to the next step. Now we're going to add some paint, but we're going to paint the inside of this vase.
To start this project, I want to remove everything but the main section of this lamp. I'm going to add the glue to each of the joints and then leave it all to dry. I found these signs at the dollar store. I'm going to add a thinner wood round. A little wood glue will hold this into place perfectly. I'm going to find the middle and use the top of the lamp to trace a little circle. I'm ready to paint. I'm going to use the white chalky paint to cover both the base of the lamp and the wood. I want to attach the wood top to the lamp. The circle that I drew before is going to help me so that the lamp is correctly centered. Add some glue and then I can join them together and it'll be nice and solid.
You want to pick up 2 bowls. Make sure they are ceramic or glass and that they are heat proof. I took them home and I'm going to give them a coat of spray paint. Once the paint is dry, these bowls have a really nice textured look. I'm just going to use some really strong glue to adhere them together. In the top bowl, I am going to add 3 wicks. I'm just going to use a little bit of hot glue to secure them to the bottom. Then I'm going to grab 2 wooden skewers and wrap the wick around the skewers. This is just going to hold everything in place. Great way to make your own candles is to reuse existing candle wax. I have a couple of these Dollar Tree tall pillar candles and I'm going to place them in some boiling water. Now make sure you're wearing gloves. These can get really hot and I'm just going to gently boil this until all the wax is melted. Pour the wax from all the candles into a metal container with a handle. I'm opting to add a little essential oil for some scent. And now we're just gonna pour that melted wax. Then you're gonna wanna walk away for about 24 hours. When it is completely set, you can trim the wicks down and use your candle.
I'm going to rip down all the fabric off of my lampshade. So I'm going to take it outside and give it a quick spray paint. And then after that, I decided I needed to spray paint one more thing. And that was a mason jar sealing part of the lid that I'm going to use later on. I'm going to take this wood slice. I'm going to give this a good coat of sealer. I'm also going to do like the live edges. And once that's all sealed, it's going to be time to grab that mason jar lid and drill a tiny hole in the middle. And now it's time to assemble. I have some E6000 industrial glue that I'm putting in a little hole where like a finial for a lamp would go. And that's where I'm going to kind of adhere that mason jar sealer. I'm going to put some more E6000 glue along the rim here. So I'll go ahead and set that down. Got it in place. And now it's time to drill. It's all good. Going to flip it up.
The next time you are at a thrift store, pick up some inexpensive wicker baskets. Dip the paintbrush in the paint and then pounce. Take the brush and lightly brush the paint onto the basket in the main direction of the basket weave. Take a wicker basket with a very light finish. Spray paint the basket in light layers with an oil-rubbed bronze color. Let the basket dry completely. Paint in light layers. You will notice that the paint dries very fast between layers because there is actually very little paint used.
Next time you're at the thrift store, pick yourself up a couple of lampshades. To begin my project, I just took apart the lampshade, so I just began with some scissors, cutting apart the fabric and ripping it off. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this little knob back on. Then I'm going to go ahead here with a hot glue gun, just going to attach this faux moss onto the wired parts. I came in with these solar fairy lights and wrapped them all around my lampshade. So I'm going to begin by pushing my air dry clay into the silicone mold and then evening it out with a rolling pin. Once it's all even, I'm just going to very carefully peel it back, take my X-Acto knife and cut off any messy edges, and I'm going to just go ahead and lay my clay over top of the frame, cutting off the excess. Then I'm going to go ahead and make some more of the frame designs using the different patterns in the silicone mold. Once I've done them all and let them dry overnight, I'm going to come in with some E6000 glue. Once the pieces are dried on the frames, I'm going to go ahead and paint them with this Decor metallic gold paint. I'm going to be using this green color here just to give this frame a little depth and dimension. Then I'm going to come in with the shade Worn Penny and I'm going to brush this over top as well.